Welcome to Life Transformation Radio. This show is all about life transformations and our journey from where we were to why we are doing what we are doing today. We will discuss the hiccups, the roller coasters, and the blood, sweat, and tears that has been poured out while discovering our purpose. It is all about our transformations. Here is your host, Sean Douglas.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome to another episode of Life Transformation Radio. I am your host, Master Resilience Implementer, TEDx speaker, business positioning strategist, and international best-selling author, Sean Douglas. This show is currently heard in over 90 countries. So whether it's your first time joining us or you've been listening to us for some time, I want to thank you to those who are listening from around the world. Life Transformation Radio is all about our transformation. Here, we tell the stories of why we're doing what we're doing. We highlight that transformational moment that changed our lives and how we use it to then transform others and elevate their lives as well. You can listen to us live right here on the Blog Talk Radio Network, Tuesday through Friday at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time. You can join our Facebook group, Life Transformation Radio Community, and never miss an episode by subscribing wherever it is that you listen to podcasts. Life Transformation Radio can be heard on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spreaker, Spotify, TuneIn, Player FM, Radio Public, Overcast, CastBox, Himalaya app, Google Play Music app, Pandora, and you can subscribe to our YouTube channel at Life Transformation Radio. I ask that you subscribe, rate, and review the show on your most favorite platforms. On the show, my guests are entrepreneurs, speakers, business owners, coaches, podcasters, authors, and other amazing human beings that are impacting the world around them. And my guest today has done exactly that. If you have any questions for any of the guests that I bring on the show during our live broadcast, go ahead and give us a call at 657-383-1109. Again, the number is 657-383-1109. And with that, please help me welcome to the show my guest for today, Mike Young. Mike, welcome to Life Transformation Radio.
Sean, thanks for having me, man.
Dude, I'm so pumped to have you on the show. You have a great podcast. What you're doing and putting out into the world is absolutely incredible, and I cannot wait to have you dive in to why that is on the show.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here. It's it's fun to share, especially at this stage in the journey when you've made it through kind of the crud,
right.
you know. And so,
yeah,
I'm glad to share.
Absolutely, man. So the title of this episode is Creating a Powerful Brand That Transforms with Makeover Master, Mike Young. Mike is the founder of the Makeover Master, host of the top-rated Made Over podcast, author of Made Over, How to Create a Powerful Brand That Will Transform Your Business and Save Your Life, and a seasoned entrepreneur. Mike is the creator of the Starter Pack Makeover business system as part of what he considers his life's work and duty to help others avoid the hellish 8.5 years of debt, pain, and growing pains, and over $200,000 he has spent buying every book and every course that he could afford, traveling to every seminar and event imaginable, trying to get his business to work. He works with those who have a business, but it's not really working, and they can't seem to discover the real reasons why. Mike's system and methodologies fix a giant problem that many business owners face in today's world of generic advice and information overload, a problem that's keeping them from running a successful business, costing them money, energy, and focus. You can go to Facebook and Instagram. In the show notes, his links are right there. Connect with him. Send him a friend request, letting him know that you listened to his episode of Life Transformation Radio. Mike, the first question that I have to ask, and I believe is the most important question you can ask yourself, is why? Why do you do what you do?
I think, that question is so hard for so many people to answer. And I think the reason is because you have to go through a period where you take action you have the courage, but you don't necessarily know how things are going to end up yet. You don't know where your next dollar is coming from. And so I have two whys, and I think every business should have two whys. I have an internal why, and that's kind of this deep-seated reason that I keep going. You know, why do you make it through the dark days, or the days where maybe you, like I did, I had to sell my car to pay my team at one point. And how do you get through those days? And so my why has always been around my kids, but it's too generic just to say, oh, it's all about my kids. So mine was, when I started this journey, that, you know, going into entrepreneurship, I knew that I wanted to create kind of the business of my dreams, like a lot of people do. You know, it's like I wanted money in my bank account, working on something I love to do, where it never feels like work, and somehow magically that's all going to happen, right? And I knew that my kids were going to model my behavior. So I really publicly announced that I'm going to go after this business model, and told my family, told my friends, you know, I'm not going back to the 9 to 5. And so my why was, if I quit, it shows my kids what it looks like to settle and to not go after your dream. And so that was powerful for me, not to quit in those dark days.
I hear so many times, more often than I hear the don't give up, I hear that, well, you got to struggle. It's part of the business. And, you know, it's okay to struggle. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, who sells this stuff? Like, who sells man, and you struggling is it's going to be sweeter on the backside. How about this? How about you pay for somebody to show you what the hell to do, and then you go do it?
Yeah, it's a lot easier.
Right? But
you know,
sometimes, I mean, like you said, you get information overload. You go every seminar. So here's an example. Prime example. Grant Cardone. Oh, man, I'm Uncle G. Let's do this. Let's get all the debt in the world and have other people pay for our debts, man. You got to leverage debt. You got to do this. Struggle. Hustle. Let's do this. And then you have the other guy, the other side of the spectrum, Dave Ramsey. Debt is dumb. Cash is king. Debt is dumb. What you doing? Right? So, I mean, like, literally you have two. So if you go to one seminar, they're like, oh, you need a funnel, and you need to have a freebie and an opt-in, and you got to run like 6 funnels at once, and then you got to get them into your email list, and this, and this. And they go to another seminar, and they go, funnels are stupid. Why would you ever get funnels? That's dumb. Sell the value. Get value. Like Gary Vaynerchuk's like, why do you have funnels? Funnels are dumb. I don't have a funnel, and I'm a millionaire. Like, just hustle. So, man, I can see why people struggle.
Yeah, you know, and it's, you know, you look at Chief Martech always comes out with this cool infographic of all the marketing tools available in the landscape today. And, you know, you look back to 2011, there was 150 different tools to run your business online, and now there's 8,000. So it's no wonder that people get confused with all this stuff. And you touched on a couple of points. You know, I really feel like it's my job to solve 3 problems that I ran into personally between 2008 and 2014. One is the knowledge over accumulation. I call it the confusion loop. You end up getting so much generic information that you don't know which one to implement, and sometimes you end up implementing 3 or 4 strategies at once, and those end up competing against each other, and then you can't figure out why the hell it's not working. And the second one is something you touched on with Grant Cardone, Gary Vee, Russell Brunson, Dave Ramsey, these guys that have made it. I call it the business opportunity seeking virus, really. And it's because you so desperately want the clarity and conviction that those guys have with their message. You want that for your own business. You want that for yourself. And before you know it, you're wearing 10X hats and funnel hacker T-shirts, and you're wearing other people's crap all the time. And you're consuming all their products and knowledge, but yet you're not implementing any on your own. And really the third one, I call it internal posting fraud psychosis, which is there's a period of time that you have this vision of how you want your business to be before you've kind of made it, quote unquote, made it. And so I think you end up posting all these things, trying to make things look perfect online, but behind the scenes, you're kind of falling apart. And so it's how do you cross through these various stages of the business cycle, and how do you do it quickly? For me, I tried to do it alone. It cost me 8.5 years and $200,000 before I kind of woke up and was like, maybe I could use a little help in some specific areas. And I think that's what it's all about. It's fine tuning and aligning all the strategies that exist today and picking the ones that are in alignment with who you are and where you're at today. Your cash flow, your team, your skill set, your knowledge, all these elements combine into, you've got to pick the things that constantly give you energy that don't feel like work.
100%. I could not agree more. And what I've noticed is there's tools and everything else, but then you got the people who are like, man, you just got to manifest it. You just got to think about it and really the law of attraction. And I'm like, cool. I'm going to sit in the corner of my room. I'm going to think about how awesome it would be to be a millionaire, and then I'm just going to wish it would happen. That's not a marketing strategy.
You forgot about the
wealth building strategy.
Yeah, you forgot about the incense. You got to burn incense while you're doing it.
Yep. Oh, for sure. But this is, literally, if I listen to guys like Bob Proctor, John Assaraf, Tony Robbins does a little bit of it, but Tony Robbins is more on like the action side, and so is Gary Vee. He's like more on the action side. It's okay to be like, look, I'm going to drop a business plan. I guess that could be a manifestation. But literally, you got people like, oh, the law of attraction. Just think about how amazing it's going to be, and think about how awesome your business is, and think about what it would feel like to be a millionaire, and then you just will. Like, that's the most load of horse crap I have ever heard. I've built 4 businesses. 3 of them went to 6 figures. I built another one last year. It's getting up there. And I'm just like, I never manifested a damn thing. I was like, this is what I'm going to do, and then I took action on it. And so people are like, well, your business is 90% mindset and 10% action. I'm like, the hell it is. It is 90% action. First of all, my philosophy is you must take 20% action on you must take 80% action on every 20% that you consume. So if you consume 20% of a video, you need to take 80% of the action on the 20% that you consume. If you take more action than you consume, then you're not in that dilemma of, well, what podcast microphone should I get? Should I get the Heil PR40 or should I get a Sennheiser? Should I get the ATR or should I get a condenser or a dynamic mic? I don't know. Let me go to 50 Facebook groups and ask.
Yeah, I think
right?
I think you nailed it on the head there, because if you look at manifesting, right, like what manifesting actually says is be, do, have. And so you do have to have this kind of delusional vision in the beginning and say, this is where I think I want to go and where I want to be. But it comes down to doing the actions that person would do if you're not there yet. So very simple analogy is like, I don't have 6-pack abs, but I want 6-pack abs. Well, find somebody that already has 6-pack abs. Ask them, how did you get 6-pack abs? And then you begin to act as if you're already that person, and you begin to model their habits and behaviors. And you'll quickly find out, oh, eating Cheetos on the couch and ice cream isn't doing it for me. And this person that already has 6-pack abs, they're doing 250 sit-ups in the morning. They do it again at noon. They do it again in the evening. They don't eat the way I eat. And so you end up, what you need to do when you manifest things is you actually have to do the actions that person you're trying to become would already do. And you have to make decisions based from that as well. It's like, if you're running to run a $1 million a month business and you're spending half an hour to an hour just sifting through Facebook and Facebook messages and having all these side conversations, you begin to ask yourself, is this what somebody that's running $1 million a month business, is this what they're doing? And the answer is most certainly no.
100%. Absolutely, man. And I love the fact that we're going to talk about how to create a powerful brand that transforms your business, because the show is focused on transformation. So I ask you, what is a transformational moment that changed your life and put you on the path to what you're doing today?
I would say the one question I get all the time is like, what's the one magic bullet, or what was the one moment? And the reality is there's a million. There are a million moments, But I would say there's some big ones. The financial collapse of 2008, that took me from liquid millionaire to $200,000 in debt in less than 6 months. That helped really remove and destroy any ego that I had built up at the time, and put me on the path to true entrepreneurship. I think another big one, my brother-in-law took his own life in 2015, and that was kind of a wake-up call for me to say, if not now, then when? Maybe I should stop dinking around here and actually go all in on myself and my business. Because at that point, 2015 was a pivotal moment for me, because that was at the end of the 8.5 years. I bought all the books and read them all and bought the courses and gone to the seminars, and yet I was still depressed and frustrated and broke, and my business still wasn't clicking. And that moment of my brother-in-law taking his own life, in combination with a couple people I was following at the time, the biggest moment was honestly the time that I just chose to ask for help. The time I said, I know all this stuff, but I know also that I have something going on with my mindset that's holding me back, and I can't discover what on my own. And I know that I need some help in copywriting, marketing, advertising. Like, I knew my craft, but I think that's what so many business owners fall into, to be honest, is they take maybe a decade or 5 years or 7 years to perfect their craft. And then once their craft is perfected, they're like, oh man, I'm so proud. Every time I sell this to somebody, they're so happy. They refer me to others. But then there's a transition point where you've got to learn how to market, advertise, position yourself, build authority, and all these other things. And so now you're left with a choice. Do I take the next decade to become an expert in all those areas as well? Or do I hire somebody that's already done it that can shortcut that learning curve for me?
There you go. There it is, man. Wow, what a powerful testimony, man. I know I tried to take my life in 2008, and it was just a rough time, man. Yeah. 2008 was rough. It was rough, and
and I thought it was all my fault. I spent the better part of 6-7 years beating myself up like it was all my fault, and then I found myself speaking. I was speaking at an event. And somebody at the event said, how many people were impacted during that time after I told my story and stuff? And 90% of the hands raised. And I was like, oh my God, that was like the first moment for me that I actually saw a visual representation that this wasn't all my fault. There's all these people that were impacted. But I was so, maybe self-centered at the time or something. I just thought it was all my fault. It was my fault. I let the employees down. I lost all this money. And that was a story that was a repeating loop for a long, long time. And when I cracked the code on that, the business and everything started to turn around. And to talk about pivotal moments, when I did raise my hand, it happened to be from a copywriter I was following at the time. And I said, he literally at the end of an hour-and-a-half long Facebook Live video he did, he said, I'm surprised when more people are stuck, they don't simply ask for help. And so I commented and I said, I've been in this game almost a decade. I'm frustrated. I could use some help. He said, well, come over to my house and let me help you. He goes, if you can make it here, let me help you. I've got an event coming up. And I was thinking at the time, like, the last frickin' thing I need is another event or another book right now. But I just had this.
Buy my programs.
Yeah. And I just had this gut feeling like this person was genuine. They wanted me to come over there and help. I didn't know it was 14 days away, and it was also 9,000 miles away in Phuket, Thailand. But I came home. I literally came home that night, and I sat down with my wife. My wife and I get along great. We're like college roommates with benefits or something, But it's like we joke, we get along great, we don't argue a lot. But at that time, we were arguing, and it was mostly money stress and stuff like that going on. And I remember I came home and I said, hey, this guy that I've been following for a while has offered to help me, but I think I need to fly to Thailand in like 14 days. And I remember the look on her face, but my wife she's a powerful creature. she kind of looked at me stunned for a second, like, are you freaking kidding me? And then she just said, I think you got to go. And 2 hours later, I bought my plane ticket. I had to combine 4 different bank accounts to scrap up enough money to afford the plane ticket.
Wow.
Thankfully, thankfully, hotels in Thailand are super cheap. The 10-day trip cost me $370, I think, for the hotel for 10 days. So.
Oh, hell yeah.
But those are the moments. Those are the, you know, are you going to fight or flight? Are you going to take the leap of faith and bet on yourself, or are you going to give up and cry about it and go settle for a bank job and a 401k and a gold watch? You know, and that was right. My make it or break it point. I knew I was if I wasn't all in after the couple $100,000 in the 8.5 years, that was my moment where I said, I'm never going back, and I'm all in, and I'm going to figure this out.
I wonder if there's a point where they're like, maybe I shouldn't be an entrepreneur. Like, maybe this isn't for me. You know what I mean? Like, is it 250,000? Is it 9 years? Right? Like, because it seems like
I do think there's moments like that. You know, I think they're different for everybody, though.
Yeah, what I've seen is no overnight successes. Like someone just didn't create a funnel, and I've yet to meet this person. So if they're listening to the show, I would love to meet you and get you on the show. I've never met one person that on a Tuesday they created a funnel, on a Wednesday they became a millionaire. I've never met anybody. I never met anybody that did that. I don't know anybody that created a business on a Monday and by Friday they're sipping Mai Tais on the beach in like Maui, you know, because they created the greatest thing ever. I've never heard of this.
There's 2 stories I can think of. The 2 stories I can think of that were close to that. One was Dan Henry. He listened to some Russell Brunson.
Different. Dan Henry.
Listened to some Russell Brunson stuff, created a funnel, and it worked. The other one's a guy named Max Resnick, who runs a program called Roof Engine. And when I met him, I almost wanted to punch him in the face, because he's just like, oh, well, the first thing I tried worked, you know, and I just stuck with it. And it was like the exact opposite of my story, you know. And but I think that's it. A lot of these overnight successes and things that people show you come on the backbone of 10 years of struggling to figure it out.
Oh, absolutely. Or maybe it did work, but it wasn't maybe like $1 million, or maybe it worked and it got some traction. It's like, oh, that worked. Okay, let me build on it. Let me see what I can do with it. Let me toy with it. Let me play with it. And then that took like a year or 2 years. You know, like, I don't know, for some odd reason, I don't know why, it's right around the 3-year mark. 3.5 years. For some reason, it's like things start clicking and things get a little bit easier, and things get that's just what I've noticed from people that I've talked to. You know, in the 4 businesses I've created, you know, going off and starting something brand new from scratch is tough, right? You know, launch sequence, and you got this stuff and marketing and everything else. And then it's like the first year sucks. You're not really making any money, and you're like really trying to get it to work. And by the second year, I think you've conditioned the people to be like, okay, this guy's not going away. But you're conditioning the market over and over and over again with every post. You know, buy my stuff, and this is what I offer. This is what I've learned. And hey, today we got new shipments in for this product that I have, and here's what we're doing. We have a new office now. Like, you're telling them about the journey. You're documenting. And then by the 3rd year, people are like, this guy's awesome. I love what he's doing. And then, I don't know, it just seems to click in like the 3.5 year mark.
Yeah, and the problem is, and this is what I did as well, the problem is that most people move their foundation. So they launch something and it kind of works. And instead of building upon it and tweaking it and staying the course, they're like, well, that kind of worked, but it wasn't $1 million. So then they shift the entire foundation and they go with a completely new offer, completely new ideal client. And every time you do that, you're starting over from scratch. And if you take somebody like Marie Forleo or Sam Ovens, they built one product and they said, I'm going to course correct and adjust this and make it better over time. And 8.5 years later, you know, they're making 2, 3, 4, 10, you know, Sam Ovens' case, $30 million last year. And that's the real difference is, I call it the 4 clarity pillars. So you need clarity on who you are. You need clarity on who your ideal client is, inside and out. You need to know what problems you solve with your solutions for that ideal client. And then you really need clarity on how human beings work. And if you can get clarity on those and stop moving your foundation, you'll have success much faster. Maybe it does take you 2 or 3 years, but it sure beats what I did, which was every 6 months I was starting over with something new because it didn't quite work the way I wanted it to. I would have been more successful faster if I picked a niche, picked the problem I was going to solve in the marketplace, and kept just improving it.
Absolutely. And it really comes with the problem that you solve. What I've noticed is that if you don't know what problem you're solving, then people don't know why they should buy from you. And a lot of people talk about the know, like, and trust, and like that's cool, but people buy themselves out of problems. If you're struggling, mostly because as like when I position people, and people do business with me because they want to be positioned in a way that has them either looking the best they can, of course, or looking a certain way. Like, I want to be a transformational speaker, and this is what I want to do that. I'm like, that's not going to work. Do it this way, and you'll position yourself as that person. So what people understand is that guy has what I want because I have that problem. If they don't have that problem, they're not going to go to you. So now you've just immediately lowered your target market, right? You've lowered that target market from 1 million people to like 50,000 people, because everybody who doesn't have that problem doesn't need what you offer. And that's a hard thing to grasp for some people. They just don't want what you offer because you know, maybe your website's ugly. They don't want what you're offering because it doesn't affect them. You know, if I'm marketing to podcasters, my market is podcasters, not everybody who wants to start a podcast, and everybody who's thought about starting a podcast, or everybody who's been a guest on a podcast. It's the people who are hosts of podcasts, which I've narrowed my target market down to about 700,000 people, not like 5 million, right? 5 million people don't have this problem because there aren't 5 million podcasts.
I think most people, they wildly overcomplicate the positioning game and the choosing the niche game. They get it wrong. In the positioning game, the strongest position is to be your position, which is if you want to be a writer, just start writing. If you want to, want to be a chef, start cooking. It's like, you just have to be the person that you're trying to position yourself online. And then there's congruence, because the worst thing I've seen people do is they try and say, well, this is the position I want to be, but then they're not living their life that way. And it creates this incongruence and this lack of authenticity that ends up driving themselves mad. And the second piece of that is when you're picking a niche, I think people try and they say, well, I'm only going to help 46 to 48-year-old males in Phoenix, Arizona that are running a podcast. And so they're trying to tell the marketplace exactly who they serve. I help entrepreneurs go from 6 figures to 7 figures, whatever it is. And I think
the most common one.
Yeah. And by the way, if you haven't helped yourself go from 6 to 7 figures, you have no business helping somebody else do it. But
you know what? Oh my God. Okay. Yeah. Go ahead.
But I think when it comes to niching down, people would be much better off in niching down into the problem and solution aspect of things. Is my problem is that I want to have my own podcast, but I don't know how. I'm confused and overwhelmed by technology. And so then your solution can solve that. And then I don't care if my client is 35-year-old female or white or black or green or alien. I don't care. I want to attract the archetype of human that has the problem that I solve. And so if you can niche down and say, I help people that feel confused and overwhelmed by podcasting start and launch their own podcast in less than 4 weeks, you're going to have a lot more success, because then you're not telling the market that they have to be 46, they have to be male, they have to be in Phoenix. It's like you're almost niching down too far, and you're trying to tell the marketplace who you serve in a weird way. And so anyway, that's just something I think about as I try and help clients position themselves and stuff. It's like, let's position the brand around who you are and not try and create some false story out there.
Yep, 100%. So I only got triggered for a moment. I firmly believe that if you haven't done it, you have no business teaching it. That's what I believe. I completely agree with this. However, there are some people that believe that you can be a voice coach or a business coach or a whatever coach, because all it is systems and strategies and putting pieces in place. And I'm sitting here like, hell to the nah, because how can I put my faith in somebody who's never been there? Right? Yep. Like, how can I say I want to be a millionaire, but I'm not going to pay for a millionaire? I'm just going to pay for somebody who knows how to get there. If he knew how to get there, how come he's not there? That's my very first question. Oh, well, I know how to get you to $1 million. Have you been to $1 million? Well, no. Why not? And then they come up with this real crazy. You're like, well, I like helping other people. I'm like, if you helped other people get to $1 million, don't you think yourself would be at $1 million because you've helped so many people get there?
Yeah, and I think too, like you look at all that stuff too. It's just like I think sometimes one of the things I see hold people back is they think that, well, I have to get to that $1 million level before I begin coaching, or I have to spend a decade before I begin coaching, and that's not true either. But I think if you attach your promise in your solution to something you haven't done, that's really, I mean, it's just a formula for failure. You're saying, I'm going to help get you from 6 to 7 figures, and if you haven't done that, it doesn't make sense to coach on that. But I can help you avoid traps and problems and growing pains, and I can show you how to do in 6 to 18 months what took me 8.5 years. I can market to that. I can coach to that. And
sure. And
a lot of times you're better off coaching somebody that's like 1 to 3 years behind where you used to be at. Because if you are like let's take Russell Brunson, for example, or Tim Ferriss. You know, they might charge $100,000 to come in and consult for a day. But they're 100 steps ahead of most businesses. And so their solutions that they create, the business doesn't have the foundational learning and the foundational system set up. So Tim Ferriss calls it the hug of death. He'll come in and help a business market, and then he'll generate 200,000 leads in 1 week. And the business doesn't have the capacity or the systems or their things set up because they haven't gone through that learning phase yet. And so he gives them the hug of death. He creates a whole bunch of leads they can't handle, and then he makes them look like crap, you know?
Yep. Oh, man, that's perfect. I love that.
They can't fulfill, you know?
Yeah, because it's the whole thing of like, I want to run before I know how to walk. Like, you can't just wake up in the morning and say, okay, so first of all, I want to know where this whole $1 million thing came from. Like, I have no desire to be a millionaire. I have no desire to be a thousandaire either. I want to live a comfortable life. And whatever money that looks like and whatever my lifestyle needs to be funded and whatever that is, that's what I want to do. I have no set monetary value. I know the steps I want to get to. Right? It was 100,000, then 250,000, then it was 400,000, then it was 500,000, then it was 750,000. So my first business grew to 650K, and then it collapsed in 2008. So I mean, it was just like gone, like overnight gone. The second business is multi, 6 figures. So I mean, it just, I don't know where it came from that if you're not a millionaire, then you're not a great entrepreneur.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, you touched on something that is like, this is why, like, in our business growth system, it combines partly my experience. And one of the things I never got with all these generic courses and books and everything is I never got direct help, specific advice based on my situation from the person, you know. Marie Forleo never came to my house and just sat down with me and said, this is what you need to do, Mike, you know, or Russell Brunson or any of those guys. So like in our package, it's combining, like, I wanted to give direct strategy help on something they can implement. I wanted to give ongoing support. I wanted them not to spend extra dollars on little design stuff that they needed in the beginning. But this comes down to you. I mean, it comes down to you defining what's your definition of success, because that's different for everybody. What are your unique skill sets and knowledge, and what do you have that you can offer the marketplace? And then we can get creative and say, okay, how are we going to position this? How are we going to build authority? How are we going to show up online? What systems are we going to put in place so that when people visit your brand and they get that sixth sense, so much of this game is around understanding how the brain works and understanding that people buy based on emotion and instinct first, and then they justify with logic. Yep. And so many businesses they're leading with features, and they don't realize if you're having to process features, that's a completely different center of the brain than your buying center. Because I'm not buying based on features. I'm buying based on emotions and instinct. So how do we position this thing in a way that makes your clients feel something and makes them believe that you might have a solution to their problem in an emotional way that gets them to take one step? And that step is usually contacting you. And so many people are doing it wrong. They're throwing up all their marbles in the lobby. And so you visit somebody's website for the first time. Not only does it look different from Facebook to Instagram to LinkedIn to their website looks different, there's virtually no proof that people are having success buying from you. And there's, it's just a mess. And that's really, you can clean up the mess, and you can, the 8.5 years I struggled, I turned everything around in 18 months. And so that's real. That was, it wasn't 18 minutes. It was 18 months. It took me 18 months to understand the game differently, learn where my own gaps were. And that's one other point I'd bring up is nobody can give themselves their own outside perspective. And so even today, I really understand this game at a very, very deep level. And I still have a mindset mentor and coach, and I still have a mentor and coach on the copywriting and advertising side of things, because those people can give me outside perspective, and they're 10, 20, 30, 40 steps further in the game than I am. And so you always need that outside perspective and somebody that's already done what you're trying to do.
Boom. Nailed it. So with the time that we have left, I want to ask you and really answer this question. How do you create a brand that transforms?
Well, it's not as complex as most people make it, but it's more complex than most people make it. It's about perception. In today's world, the one attention, the one asset we're all striving for is attention. I kind of equate it to, if you just looked at the internet, let's just say that you walked up to a computer and you looked at all of the internet going on at once. It would look like Las Vegas slot machines, where all the slot machines are moving. Mm-hmm. The only way that someone running into you and your brand for the first time, because the world's way too big with 7.5+ billion people, that's what people are seeing. They're seeing this moving slot machine all the time. So if your message and your brand is hopping around, the first thing you need to do is stop. And you need to say, this is who I work with, this is who I help, this is how I help them. And then you need to show lots of proof and social proof that you actually do what you say. So I think we've all seen somebody's Facebook page where they say, I help people do X, Y, Z, but yet there's no proof anywhere.
Right.
And they're posting, one post is about the fact that they're upset that their dog ate their lunch. And then the next post is about their mom. And so it's like everything's not incongruent. So you have to get laser focused, niche down, and stop hopping around at the beginning. And then I call it the spiral dynamics of your business image. Your business image is simply everything a new prospect can see with their eyes to form a first impression of you and decide whether your business is worth contacting for the very first time. That's it. So you do all this work, get everything lined up, the messaging lined up, maybe one call to action at the top of your funnel. You do all this work just to convince new prospects that you're worth contacting. And then from there, your systems can take place, your sales calls can take place. But that's the number one thing I see in the beginning is people are hopping around too much, which is a normal part of the process. It's no sense beating yourself up over it. It's like, imagine walking into an ice cream shop and you've never tried ice cream. If there's 31 flavors, you might have to literally try every one before you realize I don't like strawberry, but I love chocolate. And so you go through that phase, trying a little bit of everything, and then you tap into your thing, and then it's really the game is consistency. Consistent posting plus the number of platforms plus consistency of message over the length of time builds trust with your audience, and then they can believe that you do what you say you do.
Yep. And that's conditioning the market. You have to condition the market with integrity, testimonials. Yeah, man, totally nailed it. Love it.
I think, when it comes to building a brand that's going to like last the test of time is people trust consistency. They can sense and see through because of neuroendocrine reactivity, which is our sixth sense. They can sniff through any bullshit very, very quickly these days. And it's like you just have you have to be authentically yourself 24/7, 365. That's one secret to the game is be yourself. Stop faking it. And then on top of that, you not only be yourself and build the brand around yourself, but you've got to do it in a way that gives that campfire vibe. Like who are the people you want to hang out with? Well, sometimes they joke around, sometimes they're serious, they're knowledgeable, they're trustworthy. So you got to build that character online to match what human beings normally attract to.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So I subscribe to your podcast on Google Play. I just have an Android, and that's where I subscribe to the show. You've had my friends like Tony Watley on the show, which is absolutely amazing, dude. You have had a lot of amazing people like Steve Sims, and love the show, man. Mike Dillard's a big guest. Lance is a good friend of mine, Lance Essios. Very, very cool podcast that you have called Makeover Podcast about building a business, branding, marketing, sales, and entrepreneurship. So everybody subscribe to his show. Where's the best place that everybody can get a hold of you? Do you have a website? Do you want them to subscribe to your podcast? What do you want to leave the listeners with today?
Yeah, everything can be found on our website, themakeovermaster.com. And we do a lot of blind spot reviews for businesses, give them that outside perspective and look at their social media and their website and see what's costing them leads and sales. And then people can follow me online on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, or LinkedIn.
So your website is themakeovermaster.com.
You got it. And we've got free resources there. We got free trainings on the YouTube. On our Facebook business page, we got free training. So if anybody wants to connect with me, they can just reach out.
Perfect. Absolutely love it, man. Dude, you've been an amazing, amazing guest, and I really want to be respectful of your time. So with that said, what is, and this is what we'll leave the listeners with, the message. What is the core promise? What is the message that you want to leave the audience with today?
I'd say it's never too late. It's okay to ask for help. Find somebody that has already done what you're trying to do and buy their products, surround yourself with them, hire them as a coach, as a mentor, model their habits and behavior, and you'll figure out the game a whole lot faster. Just find people that have already done what you're trying to do, because almost every business question that you've got has already been answered by somebody else.
Absolutely. Man, thank you so much for being an amazing guest. We covered a lot of ground today, and I really appreciate your authenticity, man.
Sean, it's my pleasure, man. Anytime you want to have me back on or just do a chat or you want to do a training or something, let's catch up, and I'm glad to share.
Hey, Man, let's do it. Life Transformation Radio listeners, an amazing guest impacting the world around him. If anything has resonated with you today on our conversation with Mike Young, Transformation Radio, reach out to him at themakeovermaster.com. Facebook and Instagram is right there in the show notes. Connect with them, letting them know that you listened to his episode of Life Transformation Radio. And with that, I close the show by saying, live your brand. Find opportunities every day. Live out the core values that you hold deep in your heart. And I call this living your brand. So until next episode, live a great life.